Sup guys, have you ever poured a glass of milk, took a sip of it, only to realize it tasted like Assassin's Creed? I should really go see my doctor.
Video games can be wonderful things. They can be a joy to experience for the first time and a nightmare to witness for the 478th time. Milking a franchise is just something that's a given in the entertainment industry. If you got a hot new product everyone loves, hey, you might as well keep making that same exact thing until the end of time. And most video game companies are guilty of this one way or the other. So why not highlight gaming's greatest offenders that just love to make the same old shit over and over again, starting with everyone's favorite, Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is a series all about stealth, murder, and some end-of-the-world plot everyone checked out of 5 seconds after its introduction. The first Assassin's Creed was a pretty well-received game for its presentation, gameplay, and story, and because of that, Ubisoft started to go a little bit overboard. From 2007 to 2016, Ubisoft produced 20 entries in the Assassin's Creed series, which doesn't even include the countless books, comics, and singular movie they made either. Now to be fair, a lot of those entries are mobile games and handheld titles alongside the bigger AAA games, but still, this is too much. Assassin's Creed became a yearly franchise, which over time just kept getting worse and worse with each entry, until Ubisoft finally decided to pump the brakes a little in 2017. Sales were declining, and in some cases the games were coming out so fast to the point where they were releasing as buggy messes. But thankfully, after taking a break in 2016 for a live-action movie release that bombed, Ubisoft was able to rekindle their efforts and allow for more creativity in this franchise. Since then, we've gotten 3 mainline Assassin's Creed games, each having different styles, sounds, and settings, so overall, taking a break can have its benefits, especially for yearly franchises that may have lost their spark. Speaking of yearly franchises in Ubisoft though, do you guys think you can slow down with Just Dance? Look, I get it, these are dancing games, and the music licenses probably require these games to come out every year anyway, but still, slow down a little, Ubisoft. Assassin's Creed and Just Dance aren't the only yearly franchises that have been milked to death though. Pretty much every yearly release has stagnated in some way over time. Case in point, Call of Duty. This used to be a series of coveted first-person shooters spanning all different types of time periods, but specifically after Black Ops 2's release in 2012, something started to change. Games started to be set exclusively in more futuristic settings, with exosuits becoming a much looked down upon gameplay standard. Alongside that, the games being released yearly were starting to look more and more similar to last year's entries more so than ever before, and as a result, people were losing interest fast. However, in 2019, Activision pumped out a full-on reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare as an attempt to recapture the love for the games that were out at the franchise's peak, and it seems to have worked. It ditched the mechanics players disliked and embraced what worked 10 years prior to a pretty big commercial success. Since then, Activision has continued to stick with their yearly release schedule, but overall, it seems like Call of Duty has come out of its slump and will continue to release 100GB plus games for years to come. Outside of those franchises, there are the yearly sports titles like FIFA and Madden that get new numbered entries just for funsies most of the time. And then there's Pokémon. Now, Pokémon isn't technically a yearly series, but over the past decade or so, many have noticed a bit of a decline in quality, mostly in part to what I assume is because of the frequency these games are being churned out. There's been a new mainline entry nearly every year since around 2008 or so, and many are starting to get tired of the formula, especially because the formula has been practically the same since the Game Boy titles. While I don't think Pokemon will ever change, I do think maybe taking a 1 to 3 year break could be beneficial for Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, especially considering the more negative reactions of the most recent games, Sword and Shield. Sticking with Nintendo here, I gotta say, they were really milking Mario a little too much during the Wii U and 3DS's lifespans. Look, I get it, Mario is easily Nintendo's best-selling property, but from 2009 to 2013, a new mainline Mario title was being released every year and people were starting to get tired of it. That's not even taking into account all the spin-offs of Mario that were being made at the time, which just devalued the brand even more and pushed the mindset that Nintendo was for little kids that were okay with buying Mario Party Star Rush. Thankfully, this problem was remedied with the Nintendo Switch and Super Mario Odyssey, which was the first Mario platformer in over 4 years, disregarding Super Mario Maker, which was just Nintendo saying, alright, if you're so goddamn smart then do it yourself, and it worked. Oversaturation can be a big detriment to a series' success, but while Mario was able to see that and step away for a bit to get new ideas, Sonic the Hedgehog has been sort of drowning in it for nearly 2 decades. After Sonic Adventure 2, Sega seemed hell-bent on putting Sonic in anything and everything in the hopes that something would stick. Hero, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, Secret Rings, Unleashed, Black Knight, all of these games are so wildly different from each other that it made many question if the series was even good to begin with. Thankfully, Sega eventually found their groove with Colors and Generations that were able to finally understand how to make Sonic enjoyable, only for Sega to throw that away 2 years later. To say Sonic's a bit of a mess would be a major fucking understatement. Sega's run out of so many ideas by now that even the formulas that made Colors and Generations good have run their course, especially after Sonic Forces made me Sonic force myself to go see a therapist. For the past couple of years now, Sonic has been facing a bit of an identity crisis, with him only appearing in spin-offs and a movie since 2017. But if games like Mania, Generations, or Colors are anything to go off of, Sonic can return from the brink. Let's just hope he'll actually be good when he does. Besides Sonic, Sega doesn't really do much with their other properties, aside of Yakuza and Valkyria Chronicles. Yakuza's gotten a ton of entries here in the West since 2015, many of which playing pretty similarly to each other. Thankfully, however, the most recent entry, Yakuza Like a Dragon, decided to completely switch genres from an action beat-em-up to a full-blown RPG, presumably to prevent fatigue and staleness in the games, and it's worked wonderfully. Valkyria Chronicles isn't as big as Sonic or Yakuza, but there has definitely been a lot of entries recently, though not to an excessive degree yet. Mega Man was a franchise that got milked pretty dry back in the day. From the mid-90s to late 2000s, so many Mega Man games were getting pumped out, resulting in a complete lack of games during the 2010s. It seems like every project relating to the Blue Bomber was getting cancelled for the longest time until the Mega Man Legacy Collections and Mega Man 11 bursted onto the shelves and revitalized the long-dead franchise. But you see, there's milking a series and then there's milking individual games. Capcom loved to do this with Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 4, releasing so many expanded versions across the years, each with their own incredibly long and obnoxious names. Resident Evil 4 and GTA 5 have been ported to several consoles since their original releases, and of course there's Bethesda and their obsession with Skyrim, aka how I filled out my first restraining order. Usually I'm okay with individual games getting ported, that way as many people as possible can experience these great games, but now and then you gotta look at GTA 5 still getting support since its release in 2013 and say, okay Rockstar, I think it's time to move on. Franchise oversaturation can be kind of annoying in the video game industry. Obviously when something does well, it's only natural for a company to want to support it, but when it gets to the point where it's everywhere and people are getting sick of it, I think it's safe to say that it's time to stop. Taking a break now and then can help to revitalize a series, or maybe push creators to implement more creative ideas into a franchise that's long gone stale. Even so, having variety can only be a good thing in the video game industry, and going on hold for a franchise will only make the return of said franchise that much greater when it finally does come back. Too bad that can't be said with expired milk.